Hi, everybody. We're just waiting for a couple of more participants to join us before we start the class. In the meantime, can anyone just recap what we did in the last class? Anyone wants to have a go? It's totally fine. I just need a rough recap of uh, what we taught in the last class. Anyone?
The last class we talked about the basics of the closed GIS and then
Uh,
we plotted
Hello?
file. Yes, hello, am I audible?
Yeah. Please go ahead.
In the last class we touched on the basics of the GIS.
I think your voice is echoing. Can everybody please keep their microphone on mute, please? Yeah, please go ahead, ma'am. Hello.
Hello, audible? Hello.
You're audible, but it's just sometimes it's kind of going on mute. So
Okay. In the last class we touched on the basics of the GIS and then we learned about how to plot and how to bring out the data from the NASA Earth Center. And then
yeah,
we plotted it on the checked about the fire wherever is there in our world. And then we also talked about certain things if things goes failure, then how to improve it and how to control
okay.
Uh,
Uh,
Pulaha, can you just repeat the
yeah, Yeah, I'll just repeat it for everyone's convenience. So what we did last class was we just got used to the QGIS interface. We also installed it on our system and we ran it. And we got used to the interface, like what's the browser panel, what's the layers panel, what the manage layers toolbar panel is. And then we actually loaded the first map, which is the country boundaries from Natural Earth. And and then what we did was we got the data, the fire activities data from um, I think from NASA, and then we actually went ahead and quantified it, and we figured that Russia is that country which had reported the highest number of fire activities. Anyone wants to chip in here, like if they want to add anything that I've missed out on? Okay, so now we'll go ahead with the class. And I just want to know how many people here have used Excel and how many people here have used this formula called VLOOKUP. Has anyone used VLOOKUP? Do they know what VLOOKUP is? Let's see. You can just give it in the answer. Yes, a lot of people have. How many people don't know? Okay, okay, no issues. But just let us know, like, how many people know what VLOOKUP is and how many people don't know what VLOOKUP is. Okay, no issues. Okay. Okay, so we have a mixed bag here. A couple of people do know what VLOOKUP is. Couple of people don't know what VLOOKUP is. Someone have used it very little. So what a VLOOKUP does is, now if I open this, open attribute table, and this, by the way, everyone has this file called count, right? This is the one where we had quantified the data, okay? And in case they don't have this, we had also exported the data as 48 hours fire activities. I'll just bring it here again. Okay, loads 48 hours. I'll just bring it here. So right now nothing is loading, so that's fine. But I just wanted to show you. So now if I open the attribute table, an attribute table is where you will find the data, okay, of any file. That's the place to go if you're looking for what kind of data is stored there. Open the attribute table. And if you think of it as, okay, let me just open this file in Excel itself. So it's more clear. Yeah. So now, so we have it already in the descending order. So in case your sequence doesn't match, it's totally fine because I have a filter on. Uh, so it's in descending order from high to low. So now if you see, there's this one column called Russia, which has all the names, by the way. Okay, and the,
Hi. Like, have I missed anything? I've
no, you
just
haven't missed it. You haven't missed anything. It's totally fine. I'm just starting out. We are looking into what is a VLOOKUP. Do you know what's a VLOOKUP in Excel? Have you used this formula called VLOOKUP? Okay, I'll just go ahead. So I'm just explaining what a VLOOKUP is. If you haven't used it, it's totally fine. And we don't even need the VLOOKUP, but I'm just trying to explain the concept behind it. So what we do in a VLOOKUP is we give some formula in, so here's this column, this name column here, Russia, the name of all the countries, and here's the num points. So the num points as in like the number of fire activities that were detected. This is from the 48 hours fire activities CSV file that we had saved in the last class. Okay, so these are the two columns. Let me go back. And now let me go back to fixed geometries. Fixed geometries is by the way the file that we had saved in the last class. Okay. So now if we go to open attribute table, now if you see, now if I save it as if I save this one also as a CSV file, and then let me just name it as natural earth fixed. You don't have to do this, just follow along for the time being. Just saving it so I can explain it to you guys. And we'll keep all the columns. Okay, we'll keep all the columns for the time being. And we save it. And now if I open it in Excel, I'll just ignore this. So now if I look at these two files, this is the one which has the name, it has only two columns, okay? The name column and the num points. And in this one, this is the actual file. This is the file that we had fixed, the shapefile that we had fixed, and now we have exported it as CSV. But I wanted to show you why I did it so that it becomes a little clear. Here you have the name file, okay? Here you have the name file. And now this name file and the file here in the 48 hours fire activities file that we had saved, these are the two columns which are the same, okay? And why we need two similar columns is because we are going to join these two columns, okay? And that's the concept that we use in VLOOKUP as well. But we're not going to do it in Excel. We're going to do it in QGIS. And the thing that we are going to do here is called spatial join. Spatial join is all about joining two columns which are similar or same. Not even similar, it has to be same. Otherwise, there will be errors, okay? They won't find the value. And why we are going to do this is once QGIS figures that this is the column which is similar to this one, that is name, then they will join these numbers, these num points. That's what we are trying to do. Join these two columns so that we have the numbers here in the fixed geometry shapefile. So right now, if I open the fixed geometries attribute table, and if you scroll down all the way, it doesn't have the name, it doesn't have the num points column. You see, it doesn't have the num points column. Okay. And why we are doing this, and before we go ahead, any questions regarding the concept that I just told you guys? Any questions regarding that? And I'll tell you why we are going to do it. But before that, I just want to be clear, like if people understood what we are trying to do here. Okay, so Brijesh doesn't understand. Brijesh, can you tell me like, yeah, hi.
Could you repeat yourself once?
About the
VLOOKUP process, like what?
Yeah, so we haven't started the process. We haven't started the process, and I'll walk you through like what we are trying to do. But
Okay.
I just want to know how many people. So can you just tell me Okay, so Brijesh has a question. Please go ahead, Brijesh. Hello, Brijesh. I think you're on mute or something. Okay, so I'll just since it's not very clear because it's the first time you're getting used to hearing what a VLOOKUP concept is, I'll show you what we are trying to do, and then it might be a little clear for everyone. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to join two columns which have the same name, as in the contents of the same, as in the contents of the columns are same. Like here, this is the original file, the file that we saved as natural earth fix. So if you see, the name is Indonesia, Malaysia, Chile. And this one also has the same name because this was the name, because this was the column that we had saved along with num points in the last class. What we're trying to do is we're trying to join these two columns, the name here, and the name here, so that we get this column attached to the original fixed geometries shapefile. Because right now, the original fixed geometry shapefile doesn't have the column yet. That's what we're trying to do. And once you do it, you'll figure out what we have achieved. Okay. So in order to do that, first come to fixed geometries. This was the file that we had fixed in the last class. Hopefully everyone has it. So if you come here to properties, and here are a lot of options that you have, come to joins. Okay. Come to joins and you have this blank dialog box, join, and you click on plus. Okay. And the join layer is the 48-hour fire activities. This was the file that we had saved. And the join name field is name. This is the column that we are going to join. And the target field in the shape file is also the column called name. Okay. And I think this join field, we don't need name. We are just going to go for num points because we don't need this. We don't need the shapefile to also have another column called name because it already has a column called name. All we want is the num points column. Okay. And we're going to click on OK. And we're going to click on apply. Give it some time. I'm going to click on.
Can you, hi,
yeah, just 1 minute, just 1 minute, just 1 minute.
I am not able to understand this concept.
Yeah, just 1
Would you,
minute, Zareen, just 1 minute. I'm just
yeah,
let me
sh- sh-
explain it. Yeah. So now if you come to open attribute table, now we have the 48 hours fire activities num points 16721. Okay. So now I'll take up questions. Okay. So how many people did not understand what we tried to do?
What was the number in numpile, like the variable name numpile, and what is 1672 number?
So these
There,
are
which you,
so Diksha, this is the, so if you remember, this is the file where we had saved it. So these numbers are the fire activities that were reported from last class. Remember? Were you there in the last class?
yeah, that I understood. Actually, I'm
Yeah.
asking that just you showed something where you showed like the variable
Sorry, your
in the
voice is
whole
echo.
list.
Your voice is
And
breaking. Your voice is breaking.
hello, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
So, sir, I'm asking is the variable which you just showed in the list, there was a number just in front of the variable name. What number
Sorry.
that? Is it showing that it is the numerical variable? Uh,
So yeah, it's a numerical
if you go to
variable.
like join,
One person at a time, please, and your voice is breaking.
um,
So here is the 48 fire activities. If you go for Indonesia, it's 16721. It's a numerical number. You're asking for this number, right?
yeah,
Your voice is
now I
breaking.
understood.
Sure.
It,
Yeah.
it Yeah, I understood that. Many cases in Indonesia, not the total cases, right?
No. How many people did not understand what we did? Can we have it in the chat? Let's see. Okay, so Trisha is trying to explain. I think this is what you did. When you have two Excel files which share an identical column, you can join one to file data from another file associated with the shared column. That is what understood. Please correct if I'm wrong. Yes, that is what we tried to do. Yes, that is exactly what we tried to do. And I'll tell you now
Uh,
why we did what we did. Okay. So,
Sir,
first
I
time,
have one more thing. Like we can merge it through the query, merge query. So is it necessary we have to apply VLOOKUP or we can merge it anyway, like other
yeah,
sources
yeah. So
using?
VLOOKUP, the concept of VLOOKUP is a more Excel based thing. Okay. Why I wanted to talk about VLOOKUP was, so if anyone is aware of VLOOKUP, they know what they have to do. What VLOOKUP does is it joins two similar columns in Excel. Okay. It's a bit of a statistical thing that we do with Excel. It's not necessarily everyone should know about VLOOKUP, but if you know VLOOKUP, you will understand straight away what we tried to do. How many people, people who are aware of VLOOKUP, how many people understood what I did? Was it clear? Can you just have it in the chat, please? Let's see how many people.
You can just repeat, Pula, just once more.
Yeah, I'll just repeat it. I just want to know if
Yeah.
was the VLOOKUP concept clear? Yeah. So how many people here knows Excel, knows VLOOKUP, and also understood this, what we did, the two spatial columns that we joined? Just can we have can someone answer it in the chat? There were a lot of people who knew what VLOOKUP is. So if someone can just say, no one. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, Power BI understood. Yeah. Okay. So what we did was, so basically if I have to explain it in absolutely layman's term, what we did was we had two files. Okay. This is the fixed geometries, the one that we fixed. And by the way, it's similar to the NE10M, the original shape file. Okay. This is the original shape file. This is the one that we fixed. So now the fixed geometry has a lot of data in it, a lot of columns. If you think of it as an Excel file, which I opened here, so it has a lot of columns like admin 03, all these columns. And we have this column called name, okay? And in this file, the 48 hours fire activities, this is another column, which is similar to the name column that we have here. And this 48 hours column also has this data, which has the observed fire activities, okay? So all we did was we tried to join this column with this column so that we get this column. Okay, that's all we tried to do. And you can see here we finally have this num points. So what I told Excel was, in this, if you go for the spatial join, I'll just open it once more. So what we did was, all I told Excel, and I'll just delete it just for you to show it again. I'll show it again. What we did was add new join. All I told Excel was, in the join layer, look up for the join layer called 48 hours fire activities. In the 48 hours fire activities CSV file, look for the field called name. Name is that one column that is similar, this target field, which I'll again give it, which I'll again choose as name. So these two columns are the same. And by the way, it doesn't have to be the same name as well. It's just that for convenience sake, we have two very similar names. It can be just the target field can be just name and the join field can be countries. It's totally fine. But the content of the column, the content of the data needs to be the same. Okay, as in Indonesia in this column has to be spelled in the same way in the join field as well. And once you have figured out, once you have found this column, the join field in the name, what I would like you to do is give me this num point as a column in in our fixed geometries file. That's all we did. And once you hit click, apply, okay. And now if we go open attribute table, now you have the 48 hours fire activities num points. And I'll tell you why we did it. But first, I want to understand, like, if I'm being absolutely clear with what we are trying to do here.
Pula, Mahindra has a question.
Yeah, okay. Let me see. Okay. How to ensure that the joint field being used has all the values in both files? What if the values are not represented? A very good question. So for that, so this time we did not use VLOOKUP, but normally what we do is we make sure that all the columns have, like, all the countries would have the values. So for that we have to do it, we actually have to go through it, scan it manually to check that. But we normally use it with the VLOOKUP formula. And also, like, just do a simple Google search just do a simple Google search, what is VLOOKUP? And it'll give you the formula, and then you can do it. And that brings us to the bigger question, why we did what we did. So what happens is, a lot of times you might have a data regarding the countries. It might be about the education level. So like India might have a 67% literacy rate. US might have an 80% literacy rate. So you have data for all the countries. And you have this file, this anytime admin countries or the fixed geometries file. Now you would want to join two fields. Okay. And why you would want to join two fields? So that we can visualize it. We'll visualize it in a choropleth map. And I'll tell you what a choropleth map is. But what happens is, a lot of times we would just like to join two columns in order to visualize it in QGIS. And that's why and the way you do it is you have to join these two columns via the spatial join that we used right now in QGIS. So that was the whole point of me trying to show what is a spatial join. And it comes very handy when you're doing a choropleth map. A choropleth map is something that you have seen a lot. Maybe you not. How many people have heard this term called choropleth map? Has anyone heard this term called choropleth map? Let's see in the chat. Yes. No, that's fine. That's fine. So a choropleth map is nothing but a distribution of the variables from high to low or low to high in different colors. Okay. So so if a literacy rate, if the literacy rate of say of a country is low, then it will have a lower shading of say a red color, and if the literacy rate is high, then have a brighter shade of red color. So that's what a choropleth map. Yes, it's a heat map. Yes, it's a heat map. It's a heat map, but normally in QGIS, in cartography and all, we call it a choropleth map. Yes, but you can also call it a heat map. That's a layman's understanding of it. So if you want to do a heat map, that's when you need the spatial join. I thought, like, and because end of the day you would like to do maps and you would like to do it with your own data, I think spatial join comes in as very, very handy if you know how to do it, if you know how to use it. And I skipped one step, and the step that I skipped was that VLOOKUP that we have to also do it in Excel. So I would get into how you do the VLOOKUP in Excel. I would encourage you guys to just do it yourself. It's a very easy thing. All you have to do is, and now you have AI, so you can just use AI to do the VLOOKUP yourself. But this is the idea about spatial joins, how you can join two columns. If you have a data set of your own, which has the data for all the countries, all you have to do is just join the column with, this anytime admin or the fixed geometries, and then you're ready to go. And before we go ahead, any more questions?
Tapan has a question.
Who has a question?
Yes,
Tapan.
my question is that when we talk about the country, it has a universal spelling, so there is no issue. When we talk to the district or province, the spellings are different. Then how?
Yeah. So high chances are. So I think we have right now around 700 odd districts, right? So what a VLOOKUP will do is VLOOKUP will automatically get 500 to 550 spellings right. It's those last 200 spellings that you have to do it manually. There's no other way out. If you have to be 100% sure about it, then you have to do it manually. That's the only way out. I mean, if there is a better way, even I would love to know. If there is a hack for it, I would love to know about it. But chances are, like, we look up at the first go, will give you like 500 names, which will be fine. It's always those 250 where you will get error in those particular rows, that you have to do it manually. Okay. Any more questions before we go ahead?
Like in ArcGIS, you have FID or UN type of numbering. In QGIS, do you have such things?
Don't think so. To see, let's see. So this is for countries, and every country I think has. I think it's this one. Are you talking about Sovereign A3? IDN.
No, in ArcGIS, I've seen they have the FID, like UN has put a certain FID
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah. Okay,
each
okay.
of these
So yeah,
district,
so I have to.
province.
I think it's this ISO numbers. No, no. UN
For
is.
country, lot of things are there. There is no issue. But go to the subnational level, it will
Yeah,
have issue.
I'll have to see it. I'll have to see it myself, but it depends on the data. So like QGIS by itself won't be able to generate that. Also, if the data set has it depends on the data set again. It depends on the shape file, the data like that. So personally speaking, I'll have to see it myself to figure out. But normally, what we do is it's always those last 200 countries, 200 districts that we just have to go and do it manually by yourself. Any more questions before we go ahead? So Brijesh has a question. Currently, we are using NASA data to obtain fire information. But if we do not have any existing data, I need to create a map and everything from scratch, such as boundaries, household areas, roads, routes. How can we do this? So there's this thing called tracing. So you have to trace it. Like this is out of our domain, but just look for it in the AI. Just search for how can we trace maps, and and AI will help you out in this regard. So for any question, and this is a very good practice now that we have AI. For anything, if you're stuck with QGIS, the best way is just go to AI and just type that question, and the AI will list all the steps involved. That's a very good way of troubleshooting by yourself. Well, a lot of I won't be like once this class is over, and I won't always be available to answer your questions. So a very good way of just troubleshooting by yourself is just go to AI, just log on to any, it can be ChatGPT, it can be Claude, and just type the question, and AI will give you all the steps involved. That's kind. But first, like you need to get the basics, right? You need to get the basics. And if you don't know how to load a map, you will never be able to trace it. If you don't know what is a shapefile, you will never be able to export it. So first, you have to get the basics right. And a lot of times you might have to do the map by yourself. A lot of times what happens is you can also look for OpenStreetMap. OpenStreetMap might have a lot of data in it. So just search if you, I don't know if you're aware of this thing called OpenStreetMap, but just search what is OpenStreetMap in AI, and just see like how you can access the data. So OpenStreetMap might have the data that you need. Okay, so we'll now go ahead and actually make the choropleth map. And now with that, we have so I'll just, now we have the fixed geometries, and I'll bring it on top. We have the column and the fixed geometries, and forget about like the colors right now, it's totally fine. Now let's style it according to the data that we have with properties, symbology, categorized, I think it's graduated if I'm not wrong. Let's go graduated.
Excuse me, if am I audible?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. The map that you are telling about, can you please write its spelling in the chat box,
Yeah,
because
okay,
of the
okay. Yeah,
connectivity
my
errors,
bad. Yeah, my
it
bad.
is not
It's
audible. Yes.
called
Thank you so much.
Oroplet. Okay, so you want the data or the OpenStreetMap? I'll also type in OpenStreetMap in case. OpenStreetMap for data. Corplet map is the one that we're trying to do here, and OpenStreetMap is for any data that you need. Okay. Okay, so now if we come here, properties, and here in symbology is where we do all the styling. And you click here, you come to categorized, and here you have the value. Come to value. But if you see here, it's A, B, C. So if you scroll down and if you see 48 hours fire activities, num points, it's ABC. And what ABC denotes is that QGIS has stored it as text and we need it as in the numerical format. Okay. So that is one extra step. I know it's a little annoying. QGIS should just do it, just recognize it as a numerical field, but it is what it is. So in order to convert it from a text format to a numerical format, we just have to do one extra step. And the way we do it is come to processing toolbox, and just type refactor fields. Okay. And you have to be absolutely correct. Okay. Otherwise you won't get the option. It's under vector table called refactor fields. Click on refactor fields. And by the way, your input layer has to be fixed geometries. Okay. So just make sure the input layer is fixed geometries. Scroll down, and here you have the name 48 hours fire activities num points. We want it as integer. You can go for integer 64-bit, it's fine. Okay, now let's run. Okay, and it does the processing. So let's see if it works or not. And the way we'll know if it has worked. So now it also creates a file called refactor field. So you can uncheck fixed geometries. This is the file that we're going to work on because this is the one that is stored where the num points column is stored as a numerical. Properties. Okay. Single symbol, categorized, value. The value, this is the column this is where we choose which column we want to visualize specifically. And here you have this 1, 2, 3. Okay. So now we know that it's stored as a numerical format. Fire activities, hit classify. Okay. And now you see, this gives us all the options. Okay. This gives us all the options, but we don't need so many. We need it in classes. And I'm just trying to walk you through what all they do, like what categorized does and what graduated does. So let's see what graduated does. So let's click on graduated. Again, the value is 48 hours fire activities. The mode is I think just give it natural breaks for the time being, natural breaks. And we see this, it will give us in classes. It'll give us in classes. Okay. So now you understand what's the difference between a categorized and a graduated, and when you need to do categorized and when you need to do graduated. We don't need categorized for this one because we just need it in classes of say 0 to 100, 100 to 500, like that. Natural breaks. And since we are dealing with fire, I think red is a good option. But if you want other colors as well, here's the color ramp. Click on this. You have some preloaded color ramps, but if you want to see all the color ramps here, you have all the color ramps here. So whatever you want to choose. I think I'll go with yellow, orange, red. Okay. And let's hit apply. Okay. Okay, so any questions before I go ahead? Any questions? How it categorizes itself? Is it inbuilt tool? Yeah, it's an inbuilt tool, but you have to actually select which type of symbology, that which type of coloring that you want to do. You want to use it in classes, or do you want to use it with all the numbers present? I think classes for this one works, so that's why I went for graduated instead of categorized. Okay, so what else can we do to make it better? Because right now, anyone wants to have a go? What do you think is a little off in this map? Anyone? You think this is
I
fine?
think
Looks fine?
we should, by looking at yellow, red, we don't identify what actually it is explaining. So there should be an index or something.
Yeah, so that we will figure out, that we'll do when we are exporting the map. So otherwise, okay. So the problem here is, now if you see, I'll open this original file. If you see, you have, I think the first number is 175. Okay. So in this one, what they have done is they have done from 1753 to all the way to 0. We have some 234 countries that have been clubbed together. Okay. So what we are trying to do here now, and this is where those statistical understanding of visualization comes in, data visualization comes in, if you're into data visualization. What we are trying to do now here is we are going to break this classes so that the distribution is a little more even. And what I mean by that is, say you have 0 to 100 like that. Okay. So the number of classes that we need here is, so I'll have a 0 to 100, I'll have 100 to 500, I'll have 500 to 1000, I'll have 1000 to 5000, and so long and so forth. So let me just see the distribution. How is it? Okay. 5000 to 10,000. So I'll add 2 more. And the way you do it is add 1 class, add it here, 5000. And don't worry about the color, because I'll again show you how to just classify it once more. So this is 5000. So from 5000 to 10,000, I'll add 1 more, 10,000 to 30,000 maybe. The final one is from 30,000 to whatever the highest number is. And now I'll classify it once too. Oh, so it goes, my bad, I think it just disappeared. So I'll just add it. So the way you can add it, I think, is just add it from here direct. So that one will work. Now we have 7 classes. Hopefully this one should work. It's a bit of a tedious process, but the outcome is that much satisfactory. So this is one of the best practices. So I would suggest that everyone just follow along this one. It's just better in terms of visualization, what you're trying to visualize, because otherwise your map will look a little off, like it won't have that impact that we are trying to have. So it's always a very good practice to distribute your classes depending on how the distribution is as per the data.
So basically, this will give us the range key. The yellow one is mildly affected.
Yeah.
The orange one is, and the red
Yeah.
one is the extremely
Extremely impacted. Yeah.
okay.
One last, and I think we are good to go. So now I'll just show you how it's looking now. Okay. And now once you have distributed it accordingly as per the distribution, now you see, if I hit OK, now the distribution is a little more better. Because right now, even China, a place like China and the Central African, they were all sharing the yellow color. But that's not true because China has over 1,000 fire activities, while a lot of countries did not even report, like Antarctica, Greenland, these places did not even report any fire activities. So it's a very good practice to distribute your variable based on how the data is also distributed like this. And you can always play along with, if you want to add more classes, you can add more classes so that you have more nuanced distribution. I'm just showing you a very rough way of just distributing it. You can just add more, like, like from 5,000 to 100, 1,000, and from 1,000 to 5,000 you can still break it. 5,000 to 10,000, I think 5,000 10,000 is still fine, but from 10,000 30,000 you can break it to 10,000 to 20,000, 20,000 30,000, like that. And then from 30,000 to all the way to 44, whatever the highest number is. So yeah, any questions before we go ahead?
Yeah, hi.
Yeah, hi.
I just wanted to understand, is there like some basis or concept that you've used to divide these into like number of classes and how much should go into a class, or it's more like intuitive?
So it depends. It depends on how we have distributed, how the data is also distributed. Okay. Now, if you see, the earlier issue that we had was from 44 so China, which is 16th by rank, and all the way to Scarborough Reef, whatever that is. Or so you had 234 countries having the same color, which is yellow, right? But then it's not true because China has way more fire activities that were reported than these other countries. Okay, so while there is no fixed science behind how you distribute these classes, a very good way of understanding how the distribution works is if you can just go through the data yourself, and you can see, like, from 0 to 100 how many countries are there. Let's see, let's count it ourselves. 0 to 100, you have some 58 countries. You have you have some 192 countries. Okay, so that's how you also distribute it. It doesn't have to be the perfect a perfect number where you can hear, but you can always do a rough calculation of how many I want to, like, distribute. So a 0 to 100 is a good way to start, and then you distribute it accordingly: 0 to 100, 100 to 500, 500 to 1,000, like that. And because we're dealing with fire activities, so say if a country has 300 and if the other country has 400, it doesn't mean the other country which has 400 has a lot, because we are also dealing with numbers in thousands here. So like if Russia is 44,000 and if the other country is 300, and country X is 300, country Y is 400, and Russia, which is the highest, has 44,000, then you'll also understand how the distribution is like. Okay, so that's how it works normally. And there is no exact science behind it, I should admit. There's no exact science behind it, but the distribution of classes, the distribution of variables in itself should give you a picture of how you also want to distribute it in QGIS. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
To me, it's depend upon the context and the way
yeah,
you would like to visualize your product.
yeah. Not just visualize, sir, but I think like if you don't do that, it's also misleading. Get it? Because a country which is just, like has only five fire activities, and a country like China which has over 1,000, if they share the same color, so it's a bit misleading, right? So it's not just also for visualization purposes, but also, like, why do we do visualization? So that the moment you see something, it should explain, like, it should explain the story by itself. That's why we do visualization. That's where visualization comes in. You can also write it in text, but the moment you do that, moment you visualize something, it automatically has a greater impact. So that's why we visualize. But we also need to make sure that the visualization should not be misleading. Okay. So a China which has over 1,000 and another country which has say like 10 or 15, they should not share the same color. And one is that, and the second is, yeah, the context. Like, what are you trying to, like, what is the context here? We are dealing with figures which are running in, close to 50,000 and all. So that is the context. So a number 100 to 500 might not seem a lot, but in this context, we can actually divide it from 0 to 100 and then from 100 to 500 like that. Any more questions? Okay. Yeah. Okay. So now we go ahead, and someone was asking me about what is a projection. That's a very good question. What is a projection and why we need QGIS for it? A lot of people think that projection is normally we do it, just to make it better, just to make the map look better. But projections also help us in actually conveying the story. How? And I'll tell you. If, say, I only want to visualize the Arctic Circle, okay, we don't. So if you're trying to visualize the Arctic Circle, say if I open this over here, just uncheck it. Okay, we are just trying to visualize how many fire activities are happening in the Arctic Circle. So why should we visualize the whole Earth when we can just focus on the Arctic Circle it is? When we can just focus on the Arctic Circle, right? We don't need to visualize the whole Earth. And that's where projections come into view. Projections can tell you stories from the region's point of view. Okay. And right now, if you see EPSG 4326, that is the general projection that QGIS uses. That's a flat Earth projection that we are more used to, our eyes are more used to. But there are a bunch of projections that we can use. And my favorite projection is, if you see, just type ESRI 5307. Or let me see. Or just type sphere Malvi. That's a ESRI 5309. Okay, this is not coming. Let me just see sphere Malvi. So when you're doing it, is it coming here? Achha, so you won't probably won't get it here because probably you're using it for the first time. But just type this, and I'll paste it in chat. And if you walk down here, okay. So just type this instead, mall wheat. Just type mall wheat. Sorry. see if this is. Okay. So just type sphere underscore as in, yeah, this one underscore MOLLWEIDE. Just type this. And probably you'll get this one predefined in the predefined coordinate reference system. Ignore if, because I've already used this, so I'm getting it here in the recently used coordinate system. How many people have got this in the predefined coordinate reference system dialog box? Is everyone getting this? So once you do that, click apply and see your map looks 1,000 times better, I feel. So this is my favorite projection. There are other projections as well, like World Robinson, which is used by NYT, by the way, which is used by Financial Times. World Robinson. World Robinson. Apply. This projection, by the way, is used by Financial Times, the newspaper, the English newspaper, Financial Times. My favorite is the sphere Malweed, but I'll show you another thing. How do we visualize just the polar region? Just the polar region. I don't want to, because if you want to, if you're talking about a story which is related to the polar region, why should we visualize something that's in Africa? We don't need Africa. We don't need the southern hemisphere or anything like that. We just want to see like how the polar region works. And in order to do that, and now is a very good time to integrate AI in this. How you can integrate AI is, I'm using Claude. If you have a premium version, great. If you don't have, it's totally fine. You can also use ChatGPT free version. It's totally fine. So what I'll ask a very simple question to Claude. Can you give me the orthographic projection for the Arctic Circle in QGIS? Let's see what does clause say. So there are a bunch of options that they are giving. And why I did it is because you can also come up with your custom projections. Okay. So like these are the predefined ones, like the ones that we are using, World Robinson, Sphere Malweed, these are all predefined coordinate reference system. But you can actually come up with a custom projection depending from which point of view you want to see the world. Okay. And India has a projection of its own. So every country has a projection of its own, by the way. And whenever you're doing any sort of calculation, it's always a very good practice to use projections in the local setting. Okay. So if you're doing a calculation based on a district, high chances the district might also have, or the state might also have a projection of its own. And I won't get into like what those projections are. You can see it, you can check it yourself in QGIS, but for the time being, I just wanted to show you what all you can do with projections here. So I'll just copy this. Okay. And let's see what it does. Let's see what it does. This is a code that is used to make custom projections. You don't need to learn it by heart because now we have AI. I use AI a lot for all these things. Okay, you don't have to know QGIS by heart now because we have AI. So, but what I'll show you is I'll share it in the chat. I'll paste this. Just copy it. Just copy it. And what I'll do is, and the way you do a custom projection, you run it in your system is first you have to load it in your system. And the way you do it is come to settings, custom projections. and just here, just add new CRS, and the
Can you
format.
paste these co Acha, you have already pasted these in link. Okay.
So in the format, you come to prod string. Don't do WKT. Go to prod strings. Okay, this is the one that's needed. Just paste this, and I'll name it Arctic Circle 2, because I already have one as Arctic Circle 1, but I wanted to show you Arctic Circle 2. And just do a validate. First, it's going to validate this projection definition is valid, and hit OK. Nothing happens. But that's because QGIS now only has it in its system. We need to explicitly tell QGIS, now let's use this. Now let's use this projection. And the way we do it is, now come to filter, Arctic Circle 2. And it will come under user defined. Okay, it will come under user defined. Click apply. Now you see you have a globe, and it only shows the fire activities that are happening in the Arctic Circle, just the Arctic part. You don't need to show the whole world, and that's a story in itself. And this is how projections come to use. Okay. Any questions before we go ahead? And I'll just zoom out a little bit so that you can see. Zoom in. Okay. Any questions? Okay. Yeah. Hi, Bridget. Please go ahead. Please go ahead. I think just can you just unmute it? I think you are on mute, so maybe that's why we can't hear you. I would like to know whether the entire session focus only on the fire project. Okay. So no, we will get into the raster part, which will deal with other data. So yeah. Any specific question like why?
Hello. Can I ask, like, you used two projection tools. One was the something sphere and another was the Robinson. So I can see the both are projecting the same kind of map. What is the difference between those two tools?
So if you see the World Robinson, you see the World Robinson. So the feel of it is different. Okay, so if you see the World Robinson projection, so the feel of it, if you see in sphere Malweed, it's closer to how the world might be compared to the World Robinson, which is a little more flat. Okay, so you can use different projections for whatever reasons you might have. Sometimes it's just about making the map look prettier. Sometimes you might have to use the orthographic projection if you just want to focus on the Arctic circles. What happens is a lot of times, if we want to visualize El Nino here, okay? El Nino, which is just the Pacific region. We use a custom projection for that. I think do I have the El Nino region? Oh, let me see.
I think, Pulaha, so the wonderful part of this was initially we thought that fire activities were happening in, say, in Russia, in Africa, in those regions. Okay.
Yeah.
And our story was completely different. But
Yes.
now when you use a projection, the
Yeah.
story is still more alarming, saying that
Yeah.
even Arctic region is seeing fire activities, which is very unusual.
Yeah.
Okay. That also shows. Okay, so
that's
I
why
think
we use.
the
So
first
that's
step-
why we use projections. That's why
Yeah.
we use projections. And also, so now this is a custom projection that I had. So this is only showing Pacific. Now, why would you want to just show Pacific, right? You want to show Pacific if you're dealing with El Nino. How many people know here about El Nino or has heard the term El Nino? Let's see. Yes, a lot of people know what El Nino is. It's a phenomena. It's a climate phenomena. But El Nino happens only in the Pacific Ocean. Now, if say I use 4326 El Nino will only show you here, something like here, and then it will follow along here. So the idea is lost. Okay. But if I do El Nino like this, then we get a composite picture because the El Nino is always running around, if I'm not wrong, around this region. Then we are getting a composite picture of El Nino. That's why we use projections. That's the biggest reason we use projections. And also projections are used for, a lot of times we use it for calculation if you're doing sort of some raster calculations or something like that. It's always a very good idea to always use it with your local projection. Okay, so moving along, how many people have found this helpful, the projection thing? Are they going to use
This
it?
is actually, yeah, it highlights the cases where it is like more cases are present in the world. So I want to ask one more question. Can we add something like in case of disease? Suppose I want to map or project something where diseases notified first for multiple countries. So can I add something like that in the same map?
Yeah, so you need to just add the data, right? If you have the data, now that you have the data, you can use it as a point or you can use it as a choropleth map. A point map is this one that we are seeing right now. This is the point map, those red dots. If you have the coordinates, okay. And if you see, if I open the open attribute table, if you want to do it as a point, all you need is the latitude, longitude columns, okay? And you will have it as a point. If you have it in the country name as a choropleth map, you can just do it and just add it here like that. So whatever works. If that answers your question.
I
No,
want to ask.
Yeah, please, Zareen.
No, let her just complete first.
Okay. Yeah.
no, I just wanted to ask if I want to map something like route where like suppose I'm asking about India. So if I want to map which district notified first and then second, then third, what are the order of
The
the
ranks,
district
the
which
order of the
notified?
district. Yeah. So the order
Yeah,
of the
yeah.
so the order of the district would be in a choropleth map. So like rank one would be the highest, rank two would be a light shade of say red accordingly. So that's a choropleth map for you. If anything, if you want to show anything where it's more like you're distributing those variables in terms of rank, in terms of high to low, low to high, it's always a choropleth map. Okay.
So here what we are doing, we are projecting one variable, like
Yeah.
number of the cases. So
Yeah.
what if I want to project two variables together?
So yeah, okay.
Is
So
it?
that's a bivariate. That's a bivariate map.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a bivariate map. A bivariate map is a little tricky because QGIS by itself doesn't allow you, but there is a hack. What I can show, I'll like after the class, I'll send you a link about how you can do a bivariate map. There's a very good article on bivariate map. It's by a NASA scientist himself, and he has done it on QGIS. Okay, so but the problem with bivariate map is not just the mapping part. It's also like how you're going to do the legend, okay? Because legends here is a little strict in QGIS. Is the legend part, and that's where like you need other designing tools like Adobe and all those things. Because the bivariate map also depends on the legend itself, and that legend you have to do it on a designing design software like Adobe, or if you have other softwares like open source softwares. So there are other open source softwares as well for design and all. So, but I can share the link with you after the class. Do have a
Sure.
look at
Thank you.
first. Do have a look. So yeah. Any more questions?
Yeah,
Acha.
so
Yeah.
I was saying that for suppose if I have a data which relates to environmental monitoring, okay,
Mhm.
and I have like noise and everything, all those kind of data, and that it's not particular globally, but for global also, let's say ki I just want to check that air quality data, okay,
Mhm.
worldwide or specifically the entire environmental quality data that country wise or specific only Asian countries. So in that case, how does this projection part enhanced, that, like you mentioned, na, ki abhi to we are just working on fire, but it is just one particular thing that we are marking on this map. Okay, this is fire and for entire, but where are different, excuse me, where different things are involved, like air, water. I'm analyzing altogether a different, parameters. So then, if I have to do it this way and project, so
So what is your question? Like how you want to do it, or
नहीं,
like
how this would, like, this is अभी it's सिर्फ only for fire, and it's a common, all I want to say कि अभी हम सिर्फ इस जो project कर रहे हैं, it's just one common parameter that we are, like, कि सब जगह का we are. But for suppose if we have fire, safety, let's in context of this only,
so
social risk.
again it's basically multiple variables that you want to visualize in one map itself.
हाँ, correct.
Okay, so again, so it goes back to like the earlier question, which is a bivariate map, and also you have to be very careful with, you don't want to stack up a lot of variables in one map, because the person is only going to get confused. These are the basic principles of data visualization. It has nothing to do with GIS, but what advice I can give you is, like, you don't want to have too many variables. Okay, too
हाँ.
many variables in one map. You can have at max two, but like the moment you have three, four, five, our eyes get very confused. Our brain processing takes a little more time to get used to it, and a lot of times the map message gets lost. Okay.
So you mean कि in this case, all we can do is maximum we can use two maps. Two variables.
Variables on a map. Yeah, I would suggest two variables on a map. If you have multiple maps, if you have multiple variables, I would say just do it one map at a time. Okay. Unless like those two, like why do we use bivariate maps? We use bivariate maps because maybe those two variables are interlinked. Okay. I'll send this article to everyone of why we use bivariate map. We also use bivariate map just not just for the sake of just showing two variables. Those two variables also need to be interlinked. Okay, wherever rain is happening and drying is happening. Okay, these are the two variables. Say like one place, one variable is rain and the other variable is dryness. Okay. So if these two variables are interlinked, okay, wherever rain is happening, but it's also dry, then it says a story. Otherwise, it doesn't. So you also need to make sure. I'm just giving an example. It might not make sense now. I'm just giving an example, but a lot of times these bivariate maps, these two variables need to be interlinked. It cannot be like in silos, basically.
Okay.
in
So
isolation.
one more thing, if I have to, if we need to show the correlation, that if it increases, if particular one, like you says ki, I want to compare ki, this is happening because of this reason. So in map, I want to correlate both of the things ki, okay,
Yeah,
this.
so then you can, yeah, so the correlation is very important. Yeah, so then you
हाँ.
can have two variables at max, I would say. But again, the bivariate map is a little tricky for the reason.
So the correlation thing and bivariant is completely and altogether
It's sort of
different.
interlinked. It's sort of interlinked.
Okay,
But we have
interlinked.
done, we have done, bivariate map in a different way. In a different way, I'll show you. If I
So
see
then
the,
also we have to do this coding wala thing.
I don't think so. I don't think so. So this, so this is sort of, it has a couple of layers. So this, you see this red part, this is where the sinking happened. Okay. And now you have these lines, which are the roads. You have this thing, which are houses. So this is a multivariate analysis, but not in the way that you are asking. These are all different sort of, but these are all layers in terms of layers. Bivariate is something which is a little different, and I'll share the link with you guys. You can go through
Both
it.
for correlation and for bivariant, if you can
I'll
do
share
that.
the, yeah, I'll share the link. Just go through it, and then you can like come up with a question. But I would rather take it up after the class, okay? Because it's a bit
Okay,
not
okay.
part of the domain right now.
Tapan had a question, Pulaha.
Who?
Tapan.
Okay.
I think that's ultimately he answered. I wanted to check if this different layers can be made.
Yeah. The layers is, the
That
layers you can do it. Layers is
Yeah.
different. The layers thing is different.
will be different. Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
layers thing is different. But I'll just, so since we are talking about bivariate maps. So see, this is a bivariate map. Okay. And I'm not getting the article here. There's this NASA scientist who has done a very good job. He has actually written a whole article explaining how it works. So you can check. I'll just see it myself and I'll.
Let's get that later on, Pula. I think let's not break the cycle.
That's just
The flow.
yeah. Okay. So now that everything is done, we are going to export it. And before we export it, all I have to do is I'll just change the projection one before we go ahead. This looks better. And just follow along here, okay? Just follow along. Exporting in itself is another thing here in QGIS. So just follow along. You don't have to do it right away because the session is getting recorded. But yeah. So the first thing we are going to do here is how do we export it? So the first thing you can do is if you have this thing missing, it's called a new print layout. If you have it missing, so you can come to project, and in project also you will find this new print layout, and you can use a shortcut Command P in MyEA. You can just check it what it's in Windows. Okay, so this dialog box opens, and the first thing we are going to do here is so everyone has this, right? Uh, do they have a different looking dialog box here? Hopefully it's the same for everyone. So I'll go ahead. And by the way, you can just like zoom in, zoom out like that using your mouse. Okay. So this option, I think 1.3, the sixth option, which is add map. Okay. You click on this, add map, click on this, and it turns into a triangle. Your cursor turns into a triangle, sorry, a cross. So come to the edge of this box, come to the edge of this box and just left click and keep dragging it to the other edge. Okay. And you have the map. Okay. Now this is good because it's a world map, so it's fine. A lot of times what happens is, you just want to show Africa. Okay. And the way to do is you have to play with this. Okay. X-min, Y-min, X-max, Y-max. I'm not going to show you, I'm not going to type in the numbers here. I'll just show you in case a situation arises where you just want to focus on India or you just want to focus on Africa and you want to show the whole map. Because right now it's just showing the whole world map based on the view that we have here. But if you want to just show Africa, so all we got to do here is now. So this is X, this is X, this is X horizontal, and Y is your vertical, as you know. So this is Y plus, this is Y minus, this is X minus, this is X plus. So for Africa, it will be X plus would be, say, for like if I come here, it will be 463247. And how I know is if you check here, this is the number. Okay. This is the number. This is right now it's showing Y minus, but if I just turn here, it's showing 4667238. So all we got to do here is now come to Y max, okay, and we're going to say 466, whatever the number is, and accordingly. I won't walk you through the steps, you can do it yourself, but I just showed you this is a very handy thing, okay, the extents, as the name suggests, the extent. So like what extent do you need for the map, okay? And now that we have it here, I think we are good with this one. What we now need is a legend, Okay, and for the legend, add legend. Okay, here, this one. I
No,
think that
are we correcting this axis?
no, we are not correcting the axis.
So why are we like manually inserting here?
Yeah, so if this is right now is a world map. What if you just want to show Africa,
Hmm.
right?
Okay.
So for Africa, you don't need South America, you don't need North America. So I'll show you once again. If I zoom in now,
Hmm.
let's see. Now let's refresh the view. Okay, so I'll just delete it.
Hmm.
I'll just add it now. See, now if I want to show the whole of Africa, all I have to do is to work this extends. Okay, now you get it. So if I
Okay.
say four, six,
So
six,
you have just zoomed it and that's
yeah,
it.
yeah. So I did not zoom it. I did not. So this depends on the view right now. So whatever view is here, it's gonna
Okay.
reflect here. But if you have to customize the view,
I get it. I get it.
you have
I
to
get it.
customize the
Okay.
view.
Okay.
That's when
Okay.
you need those extents. You have to tweak these extents. Okay.
Okay, when we are exporting, what we can do if we want for one particular area, we
Yeah.
can zoom that
If you have
part,
a
and that
customer,
that
yeah,
particular part will be exported there instead of entire map.
yeah, and you do
Okay.
that by customizing the extents here. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So now let's go back and let's just export this one. I'll just show you once. Just drag it here. This is a good enough view for me. And now we add a legend. Add a legend. So I think this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's the 10th one. Add legend. Okay. So here you have, and these are a lot of unnecessary things. So I have to remove them because also at the same time you have to make sure the legend also makes sense. So all you have to do is click on just the legend box, okay, not the map, just the legend box, and then this thing opens. Okay, I'll show you once more. So now you have this main properties and all this extents and all. But once you click just on the legend, see this thing changes. Okay. So it's only going to show properties for the legend. And the way you do it is you uncheck auto update. You just uncheck auto update. And now you can delete the unnecessary stuff. Like I'll delete this. I'll just at one go, I'll delete all of them. So you can't. This, this. Okay, and now refactored. I'll change the name of refactored. All you have to do is right click, refactored to fire activities. So in the last 48 hours. You can also give the date if you want. And yeah, so you can maybe have the correction here. And one last thing is, I think I want it transparent, so no background. I'll just move it. And I think you can also make it double decker if you want. Okay, let's see. Make it double decker. Yeah. And you can also style it. I won't get into the details of what all you can do, but you say right now we don't need it, but symbol is where you can just try to tweak this as per your need and everything. You can change the font if you want and all that. Uh, I'm happy with this one. But it's always a very good practice to just look it up yourself. So that otherwise you won't be able to learn. It's as simple as that. It's also a learning process. The more you do it, the better for you. This is all good. And one thing is What I would like the class to do is if you can just look it up in their think of it sort of an assignment, mini assignment before we have the main assignment. Just think of it. How can we give a comma? Because this is something that even I want to know. And let's see if someone from the class can help me out. So you see this 30,000 and you see this 44,000. What I want to do is just give a comma here. 30,000, like after 30, there's a comma, like in our Indian convention. What 44, there's a comma. 10,000, I haven't been able to figure it out myself. But if anyone can figure it out, won't get anything, but will definitely get a clap from me, sort of a standing ovation from me for figuring this part out. So let's see if someone can, in their sweet time, can figure this part out. Think of it as a mini assignment. And think of it as like you troubleshooting it by yourself without needing anyone's help. And it's a very good way to learn QGIS. This is done, and then we have add a scale bar. So scale bar is, yeah, the scale bar here. And this is so initially it will show invalid geometry, but because we are doing for scale bar, because we're doing it for the map, I think just click on the scale bar and come here and just give it to map units. Okay, map units. And you can tweak it here, I think, if I'm not a fixed segment width. And I'm good with that, the fixed segment width. One last thing, we'll now add some source because source is what gives you the validation here. So that shows the work is serious. And source for this one is fire activities. Sorry, not fire activities, that's the name. NASA forms SNEP and natural earth. And again, you can do a lot of styling here. You can change the font here, the appearance here. I'll go with Kubier. You can stick to whatever you want, to your new and changes. Yeah. NASA forms, and I'm just bring it down here. You can just bring it down. You just click on it and you can just do your arrow keys back up and down to change. That goes for any box here. And one last thing is the heading. So for the heading, you have this, I think this text box again, add label. Leave the box here. Fire activities. Polar. Fire. Look, I don't think we need the last 48 hours because it's there in the legend. With the highest. And I'll change the font. Go to Georgia. A lineup will be look better. Yeah, this let's increase the font size. One final thing, we are going to finally export it as a PNG, and in order to do that, just come here, export as image. downloads and just change the format to PNG. Let's see. So that's how your map should look. Any questions?
Do we need not put the north sign on the map normally?
That's up to you.
I mean,
That's
it's
up to you.
established, but
Yeah. So what happens is again it'll depend from person to person. If you ask me personally, because this is a world map and everyone knows, so we are using the north side. Normally we use the north sign when we are trying to I'll show you.
for a
Say
more magnified.
Yeah, so this is the Israel Palestine region, and say I am trying to rotate it like this, okay? So that's when we use the north arrow. So it will show which side the north arrow is. But I've seen a lot of people use the north arrow as well for just the world map. I personally don't like the convention myself because in itself it's pretty understandable that the world is here and the north side is this side. But if you want to use the north arrow, you can just like here is the add north arrow and it just looks a little ugly for me. So that's about it. Nothing, no reason behind it. It's just that. Yeah. So any more questions?
Yeah, I have one, but it's not related directly to this, the map that we have exported. It's
Okay.
more related to the data that we
Oh.
have used NASA firms data. So I'm wondering if that the fire activities, the causes of it is natural or man-made,
Yeah.
like we've got wars going.
Yeah. So that's why, that's a very good question. So that's why I did not say it's forest fire. Okay. I stuck to fire activities because that is something that we need to make sure. And in order to make sure if it's a forest fire or it's a man-made fire, we need the forest layer. If it falls under the forest layer, we can specifically say it's a forest fire. If it doesn't, then probably it's an industrial fire or it's an anthropogenic man-made fire that we are looking at. So yeah. But normally what happens is we do know that uh, this region, so like if the fire is happening here, which is mostly the Amazonian region, it should be forest fire. Uh, but why would it happen here in Russia? Why would there be forest fire? Why would there be any kind of fire activities happening here? So we do know it's man-made fire. It's not forest fire. But again, it's a very good practice to always make sure that whether it's forest fire or whether it's just man-made fire like that. Say, had it happened here in Punjab region, then we know for a fact that it's stubble fire or like fire from cutting down the harvest. So these are some of the extrapolations that we need to make, but we have to make sure that we have the right layers for it to figure out, if it's forest fire or if it's man-made fire or like that. But very good question. Yeah. Any more questions?
I have a question here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are getting data from, for example, NASA or IMD or whatever related to whatever requirement we have.
Mhm.
Now, my question is, how do you authenticate that data? Is there anything to cross-verify, or are these
So you have
standards
to,
that we have to follow?
yeah. So in this case, say like, so this is the NASA, we download it from NASA, right? So if you come across something which you feel is a little off, and a lot of times it's your intuition that it's telling you, the only way is we have to get back to NASA and just ask them directly. And normally NASA is pretty proactive in getting back to you. So, but that's the only way. That
Okay,
is
thank
the
you.
question. Yeah.
So in a similar way, for any organization from where we are
Yeah, so
extracting the data, we can do the same thing.
yeah, you can do the same thing. If you think
Okay.
there's something off with the data, you can actually ask them.
Correct. Okay, thank you so
Rather than
much.
making any observations by ourselves, because we are
Mhm.
not in charge of the data itself. So it's a very good practice to just get in touch with the person concerned or whoever's dealing with the database.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I'll stop sharing my screen here. That'll be the end of it.
I have one more question.
Yeah.
Like here we are representing the two numbers.
Yeah.
We are not seeing the what area the country is having. Like Russia is large continent, right? Large country. So, matlab, it's natural they will have a larger number of places. So, how this map is
Not really,
truly.
not really.
But
Why would,
suppose I have one question.
okay,
Like
yeah.
suppose if some country is having very some very low area, means very. I cannot frame my question
Yeah,
correctly, I guess.
no, it's fine.
So, but
I get your point. Yeah.
yeah, suppose they have very less area. Yeah,
Because Russia has such a huge area, so of course it will have
yeah.
fire activities, right?
No, my question is suppose some country is having very less region in area, but they are having suppose 100 fire activities. And similarly, Russia is having 40,000. Though the country will show in the yellow region that they are having very less fire activities, and Russia is in red region. But my question is the country is having a higher burden of fire activities than Russia. So how this map is representing the correct fire load of
Yeah,
particular
okay.
country?
Yeah, okay. So, what you can do is, in that case, if you think, if you have to actually show the burden itself, what you can do is fire activities per square kilometer, okay, or per kilometer, and that will take into account, that is a statistical thing that we do that will take into account that burden that you're trying to talk about. In this case, the data is such that it's showing Russia, but it shouldn't be, because Russia shouldn't be reporting so many fire activities for a simple reason that it's a polar country. I mean, how many, because these regions that you see here, if I just open the map, if, so here, I just, yeah. So these regions, how many people stay in this polar region? Or for that matter here, if you see there's a hotspot here, a lot of fire activities that we see here, a lot of fire activities that we see here. How many people actually stay here? Right? But then if you still want to show the burden in terms of area, okay, it might have smaller area, but the burden might be higher. And which is a very good statistical question. It's a very good statistical question. I think the best way is just do a rough calculation of where you can just join this column here, get the sizes of all the countries, and then just divide it by the number of num points. That will show you that will give you a better picture of the burden itself. Okay. Does
I
that answer
think
the
my
question?
screen is stuck. I cannot see anything changing or
Okay.
anything there.
Oh, no. So
No.
I have it paused. My bad. Anyway, I'll take it up. I'll take it up with you after the class is over. I'll give you the explanation behind it. Okay. So just share the question with
Yeah,
me.
yeah, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll take it up. But it's a very
thank you.
good,
Thank you so
but
much.
it's a very good statistical question. How do we show the burden, depending on the area itself? Yeah. Someone else had a question. I think.
Tappan has one last question. I
Yeah.
think.
Yes, sorry. My last question is that no, not in this fire context, but in the sphere I am working in that context. If I have the hazard risks matrix data, if I have malnutrition data, so many other data, can QGIS make some analysis and give the different color set based on this priority
Yeah.
we set?
Yeah, absolutely. I won't get in the color part because that falls under the visualization aspect of it. Okay.
Yeah.
But we normally first comes the analysis and then comes the visualization. It's not the other way around. The visualization doesn't follow the analysis. The analysis doesn't follow the visualization. It's the visualization that follows the analysis. So
Yes.
first do the analysis, and that's why we use QGIS. Figure out. In fact, I showed you the first map. Remember, like the first proper use of GIS was to figure out where cholera outbreak was happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do all this analysis in QGIS.
Okay.
So it's like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think that will be the end.
So, Puraha, what are we going to cover the next session? Can you just brief us about that?
So the next session is going to be about raster data. So all this time we were dealing with vector data. Now we're going to get into raster data, and you'll see what the raster data is. Now now it will come. There'll be more clarity. What the actual difference between a raster data and a vector data. So we'll cover that, and we're going to export that map. We're going to do some analysis. We're going to do some calculation as well.
Someone also asked us whether we are just going to cover about fire activities, or we are
No,
going to
we are
talk
not going to
something else
cover.
as well.
No, yeah, we're going to talk. We're going to look at a different data set. So for the class, so thing is like the chances are that you will never use the fire data again in your life. High chances that you're never going to use it. Okay. But what I want to teach the class is to get used to the type of different formats, to get used to the type of different calculations that you can do. The data can be very different. You have to be data agnostic here. It can be fire data, it can be data on disease, it can be data on literacy, it can be data on anything. QGIS is not worried about what kind of data is or on what is the data based on. QGIS is only interested in how can we analyze it, what treatment can we give to the data, what kind of analysis can we do. So that is what we are interested in. Even the raster data that we see, how many people are here in climate change? Not many, right? But what this class will do is the next time they come across a format like that, they know they can just load it on QGIS and they can do their calculations by themselves. They know how to quantify the data. So next time they come across a point data set, they can quantify it depending on the district, depending on the state, depending on the country. So these are the things that I would advise the class to look in instead of like what the data in itself is. Be a little data agnostic for now. I know like you might be thinking, okay, but how does this data help me? Of course, it's not going to help you, but what's going to help you is
the entire process.
the process,
and the concept of
yeah, exactly.
So next time, the third live session will be on 27th, same time, but with a different data set.
Yeah.
Okay, we are going to talk about using a data set from IPCC.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's it. Only different data set with a different process as well. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
See you on 27th.
Yeah. See you on 27th.